Cameroon is a nation of quiet power, a country where influence rarely announces itself, yet moves through the economy with astonishing precision. Beyond the endless traffic of Douala, beyond the political corridors of Yaoundé, and far from the public eye, a handful of families have spent decades building empires woven into the very structure of the nation itself. Some control vast distribution networks stretching across Central Africa. Others dominate banking, telecommunications, energy, manufacturing, logistics, construction, and agriculture. Their fortunes were not built overnight. They were engineered slowly through political transitions, economic crises, strategic marriages, calculated risks, and relentless expansion. This is not merely a story about money. It is a story about dynasty. Bloodlines that survived uncertainty, mastered leverage, and transformed ambition into generational power. Tonight, we enter that hidden world. We unravel the 10 richest families in Cameroon, the silent architects of one of Central Africa's most powerful economic empires. Joseph Kadji Defosso family. In the commercial heartbeat of Cameroon, where industry, trade, and influence intersect behind closed doors, few names carry the enduring weight of the Kadji Defosso family. Long before luxury towers reshaped Douala's skyline and modern conglomerates began competing for dominance, Joseph Kadji Defosso was already building an empire designed to outlive generations. What started as disciplined entrepreneurial ambition evolved into the Kadji Group, one of Central Africa's most formidable, privately held business empires. Its reach is astonishingly vast. Breweries supplying millions across Cameroon, flour mills feeding entire markets, maritime transport operations moving cargo through strategic corridors, real estate portfolios quietly generating immense long-term wealth, plastics manufacturing, insurance, hospitality, agro-industry, education. At the center of it all stands Union Camerounaise de Brasseries, the crown jewel of the empire. Through brands like Kadji Beer, K44, Special, and Madiba Mineral Water, the family carved out a powerful presence in Cameroon's fiercely competitive beverage industry. Through the Kadji Sports Academy and Université Kadji de Douala, the family invested heavily in youth development, education, and national talent. Today, under the stewardship of Nicole and Gilbert Kadji, the dynasty continues to expand with quiet precision. And with an estimated family fortune of $205 million, the Kadji Defossos remain one of Cameroon's most enduring symbols of industrial power, legacy, and calculated ambition. 9. Mahamadou Bayero Fadil family. In Cameroon's tightly woven world of commerce and influence, the Fadil family occupies a space few can rival. Powerful, diversified, and deeply entrenched in the economic machinery of the nation. At the center stands Mahamadou Bayero Fadil, businessman, political figure, and heir to a legacy that began in 1944, when his father laid the first foundations of what would become one of Central Africa's most enduring industrial dynasties. Over the decades, the family transformed the Fadil Group into a sprawling empire stretching across manufacturing, agriculture, hospitality, media, livestock, and trade. Their influence reaches factory floors, producing millions of bars of Tico soap and vast quantities of edible oils, yet the family's ambition never remained confined to industry alone. Through Equatorial Media Group, their voice extends into radio frequencies, newspapers, and 24-hour television broadcasts shaping public discourse across Cameroon. In hospitality, luxury properties like the Pullman Hotel in Douala and the scenic Lagon Bleu in Lagdo reflect a quieter form of prestige, one rooted in permanence rather than spectacle. Today, with an estimated family fortune of $252 million, the Bayero Fadils stand among the silent industrial pillars shaping modern Cameroon from behind the scenes. 8. Kate Fotso family. In the vast and fiercely competitive world of global cocoa, one woman transformed Cameroon's brown gold into an empire of extraordinary influence. Her name is Kate Fotso, the iron-willed business magnate who inherited a legacy, expanded it relentlessly, and emerged as the richest woman in Cameroon. Following the death of her husband, the legendary industrialist André Fotso, many expected the empire to slow. Instead, Kate Fotso accelerated it. Through Telcar Cocoa Limited, she positioned herself at the center of Cameroon's agricultural lifeline, controlling a significant share of the country's cocoa exports, while maintaining strategic ties with American agribusiness giant Cargill. But cocoa was only the beginning. Her ambitions expanded into luxury real estate, hospitality, aviation, manufacturing, and high-level consultancy. Meanwhile, her multi-million-dollar brewery project in Susa signals one of the country's boldest private industrial expansions in recent years. At an estimated family fortune of $255 million, Kate Fotso stands as more than a wealthy entrepreneur. She is a symbol of resilience, strategic reinvention, and disciplined power. 7. Sylvestre Nguchinge family. In a country where food security shapes political conversations and economic stability, one man quietly positioned himself at the center of Cameroon's daily consumption. His name is Sylvestre Nguchinge, senator, businessman, and architect of one of Central Africa's most formidable food distribution empires. When he founded Congelcam SA in 1994, frozen seafood was still a fragmented market, vulnerable to shortages and unstable supply chains. Nguchinge saw something different. Not simply a business opportunity, but an essential national system waiting to be mastered. Step by step, he built a commercial machine capable of importing, storing, transporting, and distributing massive quantities of frozen fish across Cameroon. Today, Congelcam controls more than 70% of the country's frozen fish market. Yet, the Nguchinge family's influence extends beyond seafood. Through strategic real estate holdings in Yaoundé's elite Bastos district and expanding consumer supply chains, the dynasty continues to deepen its economic footprint with quiet precision. With an estimated net worth of $280 million, Sylvestre Nguchinge stands as a master of infrastructure, distribution, and disciplined expansion. A businessman whose influence moves silently through the refrigerators, markets, and households of an entire nation. 6. Nana Buba family. In the complex machinery of Central African commerce, few figures command as much silent influence as Nana Buba. Reserved, strategic, and relentlessly disciplined, he built an empire not around spectacle, but around necessity. At the heart of his dominance stands the Nana Buba Group, one of Cameroon's largest and most diversified conglomerates, operating across food processing, manufacturing, logistics, construction, and consumer distribution. But the true engine of the dynasty is SOACAM, a colossal distribution network moving essential goods like rice and flour across Cameroon and neighboring Central African markets. Then came Azure SA. Through cooking oils, margarine, soaps, and household products, the company expanded the family's footprint from wholesale logistics into the intimate routines of millions of households. Meanwhile, investments in beef processing, beverages, and industrial infrastructure transformed the group into a fully integrated commercial force. Today, with an estimated family fortune of nearly $350 million, the Nana Buba dynasty stands among the most strategically embedded business powers in Cameroon. A family whose empire moves through markets, highways, factories, and dinner tables across an entire region. 5. Paul Biya family. For more than 4 decades, one man has stood at the center of Cameroon's political universe with an authority so enduring, so calculated, that an entire generation has known no other leader. His name is Paul Biya, the enigmatic president whose grip on power has shaped not only the nation's politics, but also the architecture of influence surrounding wealth, business, and state control in Cameroon. Since assuming office in 1982, Biya has cultivated an image defined by silence, distance, and absolute strategic patience. Public appearances are measured, Decisions arrive slowly, but decisively. And behind the formality of presidential office lies a family network tied to business interests, stretching across banking, forestry, energy, offshore investments, and private ventures, reportedly managed in part through entities linked to his son, Frank Emmanuel Biya. Over the years, reports surrounding the family's fortune have fueled fascination and controversy alike. Luxury residences in France and Switzerland, private aviation. Yet despite decades of scrutiny, the true scale of the Biya family's wealth remains remarkably elusive, protected by secrecy, distance, and power itself. Today, with an estimated net worth of $400 million, the Biyas remain one of the most politically influential and closely watched dynasties in Africa, a family whose wealth, authority, and legacy continue to shape Cameroon from the highest corridors of power. 4. Samuel Foyu family. In Cameroon's fiercely contested world of industry and commerce, few businessmen have expanded with the speed, scale, and precision of Samuel Foyu. His rise was not built on a single company or one fortunate deal. It was engineered through relentless diversification, until his influence began stretching far beyond Cameroon's borders into the wider Central and Southern African economy. At the center of the empire stands Brasaf, his powerful brewing enterprise, whose products compete aggressively in one of Africa's most competitive beverage markets. Through Africa Golden Bank, Foyu secured a foothold inside Cameroon's financial bloodstream, positioning the family not only as industrialists, but as facilitators of capital itself. Then came manufacturing, safety matches through Unilaw, plastics and recycling through Plasticam, salt processing through Sotracel, biscuits and confectionaries through Biscuiterie Samuel Foyu. In Douala, the luxurious Crystal Palace stands as a symbol of elite hospitality, while the Crystal Beach Hotel in Cape Town reflects the family's growing international footprint. Today, with an estimated family fortune of $450 million, the Foyu dynasty represents a rare form of modern African enterprise, bold, expansive, and strategically embedded across industries capable of shaping economies long into the future. 3. The Mukete family. In Cameroon, there are wealthy families, and then there are dynasties whose influence moves simultaneously through tradition, politics, media, telecommunications, and industry. Few embody that level of multidimensional power more completely than the Mukete family. Anchored by the towering legacy of the late paramount chief Nfon Victor Mukete, the dynasty evolved into one of the most discreet yet deeply influential financial empires in Francophone Africa. At the center of its modern business machinery stands Colin Ebako Mukete, the visionary entrepreneur who transformed the family's reach into a sprawling commercial ecosystem through the Spectrum Group. As longtime chairman of MTN Cameroon and a major equity holder, Colin Mukete positioned the family at the very core of Cameroon's digital transformation. Through Spectrum Television, Boom TV, and Spectrum Advertising, the Muketes extended their reach into entertainment, culture, media influence, and national advertising power. Through Belmont Investments, the family became a strategic force behind the multi-hundred-million-dollar Kribi Industrial Zone project, one of Cameroon's most ambitious industrial developments. Parallel investments in healthcare complexes, banking interests, and vast commercial real estate deepened their institutional presence across the country. At an estimated net worth exceeding $500 million, the Mukete dynasty stands as a rare fusion of legacy, influence, and strategic power. A family whose reach is felt across boardrooms, industries, and the future of Cameroon itself. 2. Paul Fockham Kamonia family. In the world of African finance, where influence is often measured not by noise but by control over capital itself, few names command as much quiet authority as Paul Fockham Kamonia. Over decades, he constructed not merely a business empire, but a financial architecture deeply embedded across Francophone Africa. At the heart of that empire stands Afriland First Bank, one of the largest and most influential banking institutions in the region. What began in Cameroon evolved into a multinational financial network operating across more than 8 African countries. Yet banking was only one layer of the dynasty. Through SAR Insurance and SAPI Real Estate, the family expanded into insurance, infrastructure, and strategic property holdings. Through Vox Africa and Aphrodite, their reach extended into media, publishing, and cultural influence. Then came education, the P.K. Foccum Institute of Excellence, a prestigious institution built to cultivate future generations of African leadership and innovation. Today, with an estimated family fortune of $690 million, Paul Foccam Kamonye stands among the undisputed architects of Central African capitalism, a man whose legacy is written not in spectacle, but in systems powerful enough to outlive generations. 1. Baba Amadou Dampulo family. At the summit of Cameroon's wealth hierarchy, beyond the reach of rivals and far above the noise of ordinary commerce, stands a dynasty forged through ambition, endurance, and relentless expansion. The family of Baba Amadou Dampulo, a man whose rise began not in palaces or privileged boardrooms, but behind the wheel of a truck, hauling goods across rough commercial routes, before transforming himself into the wealthiest figure in Francophone sub-Saharan Africa. What followed was not ordinary success. It was strategic conquest. In the 1980s, Dampulo secured critical rice and flour import licenses, using them as the launchpad for a sprawling empire that would eventually stretch across agriculture, telecommunications, aviation, logistics, media, livestock, and continental real estate. Through the Baba Amadou Group, his influence expanded with astonishing speed across Cameroon, Nigeria, South Africa, Switzerland, and beyond. At the heart of the empire lies Ndawara Tea Estate, the largest privately owned tea plantation in West Africa, alongside massive cattle ranches housing tens of thousands of French-origin livestock. Yet perhaps the family's most staggering power rests in real estate. From Johannesburg's towering marble towers to luxury commercial assets across Cape Town and Europe, the Dampulos quietly assembled one of Africa's most formidable property portfolios. Through a commanding stake in Nextel Cameroon, the family embedded itself into the country's digital future itself. With an astonishing family fortune estimated at $940 million, the Dampulos are not merely Cameroon's richest family. They are a continental force, a dynasty built with precision, scale, and a level of influence that borders on legend. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Africa's hidden empires, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Profit and Luxury for more cinematic stories of wealth, power, and influence from around the world.